I wanted to be at Texas State. I chose to be at Texas State. I'm from Texas. That was important to me. I always knew if the right guy got this job, you better watch out.
You better watch out. This is Win Now or Get Bent, episode 118. If you don't already know, I'm Kev Tardello, coming to you on Friday, August 18th, and we have hats for sale. That's right. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you see me wearing a Win Now or Get Bent hat. They are now available on WNOGB.com, winnoworgetbent.com. As you can see, I got the Mad Cat here, the mesh back hat. This is the gray one. There's a black version as well that I really like. I wanted to get that one, but I knew this is the more popular look right now. Very excited. It's taken us a good while to get the right hats, get the right embroidering, making sure we had to switch up the logo just a little bit so it fit on the hat. And we have multiple options as well. I mentioned the mesh back, but we also have the regular snapback, kind of the more flat brim. I know my producer, the wizard, Zach Webb, that's his preferred look there. So he's been sporting that hat a little bit. And even you can't do it on the mesh back, but on those hats, you can have some writing on the side. Maybe my great producer, Zach Webb, can pepper in some pictures of some of these other looks that I'm talking about, or some of the writing on the side, because he has a hat that has it. It's really cool. I like that a lot. We have some other styles as well. If you are, again, check out the YouTube channel. The audio version, this isn't very great for you. You can hear me just talking about it, but here you go. Here, got the bucket hat right there. I do the hat switch, but I have the headphones and everything. I like this one, though. I've worn it out a little bit out there. But yeah, check those out, WNOGB.com. Finally have the hats for sale in time for the season coming up. When you order them, they'll be here in time. It shouldn't take longer than 2 weeks. I think it's just like a little over a week on them. The embroidering is right. The hats are really good. We had to kind of go through some different options with everything we were looking at until we finally narrowed down what we were looking for, and bam, we got them, and they're great. I am very, very proud of these hats. I will say we wanted to do multiple looks because we do also have a Sicko hat. Some of you have seen the Sicko shirt. We've done a little bit of a variation with a hat there as well that we haven't done all our quality checking on that yet. Got to make sure when the stitching comes in, it's all right, because you even have to send them a different type of label for whenever it's embroidered. You can just do the laser print logo, but that'll wear away. It's not as nice. These are embroidered right there. It's a great hat. Check it out. If you've been watching the videos on YouTube, you've seen me wear them before. In fact, I did a hat exchange with GJ Kinney. I know some of y'all are pretty jealous. I'm holding up that Take Back Texas hat. Shout out to GJ Kinney. That was really cool moment. Go check out those videos as well. I hold this up, and I'm not totally teasing y'all, because I was told there will be a link at some point to get those. Not from us. We're not going to be selling them. They'll be selling them themselves. So look out for that one. It was nice to know that it's been taking them a while to put out the link. It is tricky with hats. It's kind of a different deal than shirts. You can just put them out and sell them. But hats, you got to make sure they're right, or else you get some cheap ones. We don't want that. These are going to be some great hats. But WNOGB.com, check it out. Long intro for the hats. I'm very proud of them. I'll be wearing mine this whole episode. I probably won't wear them every episode. It's a little weird with the headphones pushing on my head up there, but looks good on this one. I got the shirt as well. Bam, hitting you on the YouTube if you haven't seen it. But all right, real quick, one more quick ad. This episode is sponsored by TGC, the Galindo Collective, thegalindocollective.com. That's GALINDO, galindocollective.com. Team of professional consultants dedicated to helping others realize their business potential through people, planning, and practice. Their services cover a wide range of areas such as business strategy, marketing, human resources, and financial planning. They offer full-service solutions on general business evaluations, but specialize in residential and rental properties, commercial operations, and construction. If you own property and want to maximize its profitability, contact TGC at thegalindocollective.com. Again, that's GALINDO, galindocollective.com, and follow their social media platforms at TGC_LLC and Instagram and Facebook at the Galindo Collective. Shout out to Rick Galindo, my guy, a true Tech State sicko, a Tech State grad himself. Thank him for sponsoring us the entire season. Really appreciate that, Rick. So go hit him up, thegalindocollective.com. All right, let's get to these Bobcats. 5 minutes until it's Bobcat time. That's a lot of plugs. Again, hey, go check out the hats, guys. WNOGB.com. A lot's happened. We've just had one episode this week, and I'll level with you. I posted a little bit about it on Patreon. Some of that had to do with we put out extra content, so I was like, okay, we're going to be hitting them a lot this week. But I got home from visiting some family this weekend on Sunday night, and my air conditioning was out. As many of you know, I'm sure everyone listening is in Texas. If you're not, shout out to you. Still hanging with the Bobcats outside of the state, but it's really hot in Texas right now. It's about 112 here in San Marcos. It has been all week, and so really needed that AC. Had to scoop up the whole gang and bring them to a hotel on Monday. So things were just a little discombobulated for me. I couldn't really record. Had too much going on. Had to prep for Tuesday, which was media day, which was great. Good to finally talk to some of these quarterbacks. A smaller media day. Usually we talk to more people than just 3 athletes. Usually they bring out a lot more, but it was a bit of a smaller occasion. But still good to get out there and good to talk with those quarterbacks. But yeah, so that's why just one episode this week. So a lot has gone down since then. Now that I'm thinking on it, I don't know if we've talked about Carson Williams. Don't know if we talked about him on the last podcast, but I was going to talk about the new commit that happened this week. That's Jeremy Jackson Jr. out of Waxahachie. In fact, let me go ahead and pull up not just him. Where's Carson Williams? Right there. Yeah, because I have the whole class here. Oh, no, wait, I did talk about Carson Williams. Absolutely, yeah. I now that I'm looking back on my old notes, I totally talked about Carson Williams. Good deal. Sorry, like I said, been a long week. So Jeremy Jackson's the only commit we're missing on. Number 10 for the Bobcats. Another defensive lineman along with Priest Ash. He's the defensive lineman of Crowley. They're both kind of edge guys, but Priest Ash is a little bigger. When you look at Jeremy Jackson, especially when you look at like his offers and everything, it's really impressive to see the teams he has after him, but he's kind of a smaller defensive lineman, only listed at 200 pounds. And we've talked about this before where sometimes these weights on these guys are off because they're so young. And if you watch his film, he does look a little bigger than 200. But some of his offers are pretty crazy. He's got Houston, Texas Tech, UTSA, UNT, SMU, Memphis, Liberty, Fresno State, Boston College, Arkansas State. You get the picture at this point, but it's good. It's another commit that they've gotten where they've beaten some of these in-state foes and some of these in-conference foes and some of these in-state P5 foes with this one. It's another nice coup. He doesn't have a rating on 247. I'm looking at his page right now. That's kind of the case with all these guys outside of Carson Williams and Brad Jackson, who are 3 stars at 84. But no rating for Jeremy Jackson yet. When I watched his huddle earlier, and man, he's got some burst off the ball. That's why when I first looked at him, I was like, oh man, a 200-pound defensive lineman that has that list of offers must have something pretty special when you turn on the tape, and he definitely does. He is off the ball immediately as soon as it's snapped. Sometimes he anticipates the snap a little too much, and cadences are a little more complex at the collegiate level than they are in high school, but that's okay. That's not that big of an issue because you watch his bag of tricks as a defensive lineman. He'll go cross face inside on guys. He'll do some swim moves. He'll do some stunts to the inside. He'll just go right off the edge and just beat a tackle with his speed and burst off the line. He crashes down on the line on run plays and hangs back on screens. I really like everything I saw about his film. I was like, he doesn't seem like a guy you can put on the inside. Obviously, I just said he's 200 pounds, so he's more that true defensive end. But everything else that I saw, the intangibles that he has as a defensive end, I really, really like. I mean, maybe a few more pounds for him to stay on the defensive line, but he's also going into his senior year of high school. So he's a young man, so I imagine that will come with time. But, that's the sixth commit on the defensive side of the ball. Fourth true defensive player with there's two other guys. Chris Jones is a receiver right now, and Raylan Adams, he's an athlete over at Newton. Raylan Adams plays both sides though. He plays both sides really well. He's actually a really good receiver, but he'll be a DB at Texas State. So will Chris Jones. So that's 6 of the 10 on the defensive side. Now there's also going to be an 11th commit. I am recording this on Thursday. You're going to be hearing it on Friday. So at this time, when I'm recording it, I do not know the other commit, the 11th commit. I do know it's a defensive lineman, and they should commit on Thursday. Don't know for sure. That's just what I've heard. I haven't confirmed that with the commit or anything like that because, like I said, don't know who it is. So they should commit on Thursday. So by the time you're hearing this, you may know about it, the 11th commit. But another defensive lineman is what I've heard. So that'd be the third defensive lineman. That'd be 3 receivers, 3 defensive backs, and 3 defensive linemen in an 11-man class. You know, I mean, the odd men out are Brad Jackson at quarterback and Michael Silvali at linebacker. But you can kind of tell the positions of needs are starting to formulate when it comes to this class a little bit. But 11 commitments. I mean, they had towards the end of July, they had 2 for 2024, and it was like, man, what's going on? You know, you're looking around at some of these other schools. You're looking at UNT, they had like 14 at the time. You're looking at UTSA. You're looking at some of these other Sun Belt schools like Arkansas State, and you're like, man, it seems like the Bobcats are lagging behind. But then you look at that 2023 class. Now they brought in 52 guys, and they were really focusing on getting these transfers in and just changing the profile of what this team is going to look like in the fall. That it makes sense that why it's a little bit of a late push for this 2024 class. But that late push has yielded a lot of results. I mean, that's 9 commitments in a little over a month for these guys. Not even over a month. I'm sorry, a little over like 3 weeks. I mean, that Horses and Ferrari event where they hosted 17 recruits. That was like July 28th, I believe it was, towards the end of July. So a nice late push for them in for the 2024 class, and they've stayed true to what they've said about wanting Texas high school prospects. I mean, all 10 that we know about. I'm not exactly sure on the 11th, but it seems like the 11th will also be a Texas high school commit as well, a defensive lineman. So they've stayed true to wanting to do that after going so transfer heavy with the 2023 class. They're focusing more on these high school prospects. So there you go. Jeremy Jackson, just 1 E in Jeremy. The initial post I put out there, I got auto-corrected to Jeremy. By the time I caught it, I think it was like the next morning. So I was like, oh man, it's been out there a while. So I just left it. But any other posts I've done about him, I make sure it's Jermy. Jeremy Jackson. So I'm pretty sure you pronounce it Jeremy Jackson. But really love his huddle. Go check that out. I really appreciated what I saw from that. I love defensive line play. Played some defensive line myself back in my day. Not well, but I got in there. Had my hand in the dirt a little bit. So like I said, there was media day on Tuesday. Wasn't the biggest affair. We got to speak to GJ Kinney, press conference style, where media sat around and we asked questions. And Daniel DePrado, associate head coach and special teams coordinator. Always great to talk to him. Some of you remember his press conference in the spring. That was really great. You could see why he was named interim head coach there at USF when he was there before he got to the Bobcats. But with Kinney first, of course, I mean, the biggest thing that everyone wants to know about is the quarterback situation. I know that's what I want to know about. It's what we're all itching about. It's real polarizing. I put a poll on Patreon, patreon.com/WinNowOrGetBent. Been posting a lot of articles there for $5 a month. Help support the pod if you want to get in on there. But subscribing is a good way to support as well. But I put a poll up there, and it is dead even, 46% for Malik and for TJ, 7% for CJ Rogers. So it's dead even. And I like doing that poll on Patreon. If I like Twitter polls as well, but you're going to get a lot of people who are on the outside and not really voting in good faith. They might be trying to skew the results because they're just, whatever. Twitter's chaos. We've all done it. I've seen a poll comes across your timeline and you're just like, I'm going to click this answer just because it's just because it's weird, just trying to throw things off a little bit. Gotta throw a wrench in the system. So I put one up on Patreon, and it was dead even, and that's that's in a space where I feel like anytime I write or talk about the quarterback situation, it's a broken record at this point where I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's going to be TJ Finley. I'm pretty sure it's going to be TJ Finley. I've said it over and over and over again. This is where I'm leaning, and people still are split. That's just like that. That's showing that this is a really difficult decision, and it's in GJ Kinney's hands. Every time he talks about it, he's like, it's the hardest position to evaluate. This is, they're not really going fully live, even when they go 11 on 11. And granted, they don't let me see 11 on 11. They don't let media see 11 on 11. At least this media is not allowed to see 11 on 11. And so he's right about that. That they're, even when they do that, they're not going fully live. They're not allowed to hit the quarterbacks when they're out there. So it's a really tough one to evaluate. I base my evaluation when, just watching him in warmups basically, and I see a really strong arm. I even talked to TJ Finley about that, where you can see some of that on YouTube as well, where I asked him about his throwing motion and everything. And I loved how he went into that. I won't spoil it. You can go check that one out. That's a pretty cool one. But even when we asked GJ Kinney about it, and he breaks down all of the quarterbacks and what they've been doing in fall camp. He had his best praise for Malik Hornsby on Tuesday. Talked about how he did outstanding. And I brought up the comments. I was like, he said he wasn't really taken to the offense too well early on. How's it going now? And he was like, yeah, that was first day. Ever since then, he's been lights out. So it very well could be Malik Hornsby. I mean, the fact that they haven't named a starter, I half expected GJ Kinney to come up in that press conference on Tuesday and say, all right, here's our starter. Like Baylor is coming up. It's just over 2 weeks away. It's getting down to the final hour where you got to make that decision. I wonder when they will do it. It will be interesting if they try to keep it under wraps until the first snap. I doubt that. I know Withers would try to do stuff like that with Tyler Vitt, and that's when he got mad at me at a press conference when I put that out before the game. But it'll be interesting to see how long they are waiting. But I was hearing GJ talk about Malik like that and how far he's come along. It just makes you think, well, what a tough decision. And I guess when I lean TJ, and I talked about his arm, talked about how I love that throwing motion. He even did an interview with Fox. Shout out to Fox, Fox 7 in Austin. They've been coming out a lot. Joe Salazar over there, and Dennis LaPina, and John High was out there. He's a former Texas State player. They've been putting out some good stuff about Texas State. And they had an interview with TJ Finley that he was talking about how he believes he has the best arm in the country, but just not the best arm, should rephrase, one of the best arms in the country. But because of everything that's happened at his other two stops at LSU, at Auburn, how it didn't go great, that people have this perception of him that he's not a very good thrower. I can tell you firsthand, he's got a great arm. It's a terrific arm. That ball travels, it feels like twice as fast as any other quarterback that's throwing. As far as just the speed from when it leaves his hand to when it gets to the receiver, it's fast. So I will give him that. I also thought it was interesting in that same interview. He's like, I didn't transfer. I transferred for a reason, to take care of my family. I could have sat on the bench at a P5. I don't know. Some interesting stuff coming from TJ Finley there. I'll be honest, a little more interesting than what he gave me in my interviews on the YouTube channel. Still some good stuff in there. But he was saying that. I was like, oh, man, I got to write some notes down from John High and these questions he's asking. But yeah, and so it is his arm whenever I lean TJ. But the other aspect of it is Malik is so talented that I don't want him to sit on the bench. So if I see TJ Finley starting, I envision other packages where Malik could come in and do something, whether it's by himself, like a Taysom Hill type situation, or if he's just in there as an extra athlete. Like, I don't know why my mind goes here, but Antoine Randall, anybody remember that? I'm kind of old man in myself here right now, but old Steelers player, just terrific Swiss Army knife. Was a quarterback in college, and they just used him in a whole bunch of ways. They do reverses, and he'd pass it, and so I could see lots of fun gadget stuff like that with him. And he's a really terrific player, and he's proven himself that he can be a quarterback. So I don't mean to relegate him to just packages in an offense. But if I see Finley starting, I could see that working out for Hornsby more. Where if Hornsby's starting, what do you do for TJ Finley? I mean, he's 6'7". Do you put him at like a tight end position? I don't really think so. He's not that type of athlete. He's a thrower. He's not a slouch. I'm not saying he's immobile, but that's just not what he does. It's not his strong suit. The strong suit is his arm. And you see it and you're like, yeah, that's a really strong arm. I still contend what I've said before, like the touch on the deep balls isn't fully there for TJ Finley. But whenever it is bad, it's deep. It's less likely to be intercepted, which, I at least appreciate that. Needs a little bit more touch on that, but man, I'm telling you, when it's 15, 20-yard throw, it's a laser. It's right there. Looks like it hurts hands to catch it, if I'm being honest. So that was my biggest takeaway from GJ, was his high praise of Malik Hornsby. And that just tells me that this is still very, very much ongoing. That this is a true competition. I like talking to DePrado too, because we got to go into more special team stuff, especially him talking about the returners, like the kick returners. Some names. Ishmael Mahdi was a name that was interesting. I didn't think about popping up when I was talking about it. I did the 2 deep last week, and the 2 deep prediction, I should say. And I didn't think about Ishmael Mahdi returning kicks, but that's somebody that he had a lot of high praise for. Seems like that's very much an open competition there. Drew Donnelly's in the mix there. Cole Wilson, Ashton Hawkins. But they have a lot of guys that they're thinking about back there. I said potentially Josh Eaton. Doesn't seem like Josh Eaton is getting in there. I'd still love to see him play a little receiver. Yeah, I also got a little clarity on the offensive line. I did that 2 deep prediction, and I wasn't very sure on the right side of the line when talking about these linemen. Like, what are they going to do at right tackle and right guard? Because pretty sure we know at center it's going to be Caleb Johnson, the big show. We've talked about him before. At guard, left guard there, it looks like it's going to be Dorian Strawn. I was saying it might be Chase Todd, and I had Strawn on the right side. Looks like they have Strawn on the left side and Nash Jones at left tackle. That hasn't changed much. But at right guard, Bray Walker playing right guard, 6'7", 350-pound Oklahoma transfer. Usually he's got that type of size you'd think of as a tackle. But he's in there at the guard. That's some big guys on the interior of the line, especially between Caleb Johnson there at center and Bray Walker there at guard. And then at right tackle, that's the position I really wasn't sure of. Like, who are they gonna put? Hamete Obibo, who is an Incarnate Word transfer, another Incarnate Word transfer, getting in there at right tackle. So for the most part, it's looking like it's 4 out of the 5 starters are going to be Incarnate Word transfers there on the offensive line. It's a big offensive line. If it is that unit, those 5 there as the starters, because that could change. They've been playing a lot of musical chairs with everything. Who knows if Bray Walker stays at guard or what that situation is? But it's something I'm going to keep monitoring for sure. That's a 332-pound average starting offensive line right there. It's pretty big. We saw Funbelt Sports put out a graphic where the Bobcats, all 20 of the offensive linemen, their average weight is 313 pounds, which is the most in the Sun Belt. On the other end of that spectrum is defensive line, where the Bobcats were last, like 260 pounds for their defensive linemen. But offensive line, that's 313 for the entire unit, 332 for the starters. I mean, it's a big offensive line. It shocks some people. The offensive line's been somewhat of an issue here for a while, and it's pretty great when you got some big guys there on the O-line. And I even asked G.J. Kinney about big athletes in the press conference. And if you want to hear that press conference audio, I put up an audio version on Apple and Spotify. I also combined the 3 interviews from TJ Finley, Malik Hornsby, and CJ Rogers. I did put that in there as a presser pod episode, something I'm going to start doing those audio versions. This time I got the audio a little better. I needed to turn it up on the first one of these that I did, but I threw that up there, and you can hear all of those. I saw someone comment that they couldn't really hear the questions either on those. I'm going to work on that. I'll try and fix some of those questions on there, but you can go check that out. But I ask GJ Kinney. He does seem to have an affinity for tall athletes. He's a heightist, if you will. If anybody remembers that phrase from the show, The League, he definitely likes tall athletes, and you could see it on this offensive line. There's some big guys. Speaking of GJ Kinney, another thing I just saw, he made Emmanuel Acho on ESPN. He made his top 5 new coaches list. He was number 5. Top of that list was Deion Sanders, but good to see GJ Kinney there at number 5, getting a little bit of shine. It's always good to see. We also have a new look for Boko. It's another poll I put on Patreon, patreon.com/windhourgetbent. I like the polls. It's something I've been doing this week, throwing the polls, because I always enjoy polls. But like I said, Twitter, it can be skewed. So Patreon, I feel like it's kind of it's under lock and key almost a little bit. So it's not you don't have any people are actually voting to see real results, and you can comment underneath it and it doesn't get lost in the fray. But I put that one on there, whether people like it or don't like it. Most people like it. I put love it or hate it on there. That seemed too polarizing. People in the comments were like, I'm undecided, I don't know. Most people would comment that they appreciate the change, that it's not quite there, but they like the change. I'll say personally, I like the change. And maybe, I've already got my producer, Zach Webb, the man, the wizard of Win Now or Get Bent. I've already got him putting up pictures of hats. So maybe I can get him to put a picture of new Boko anywhere around here. That'd be nice, so the people on the YouTube channel can see. If you're listening to audio version, go check it out. I tweeted about it. Even the president, Kelly Danfus, has tweeted about it. So it's a legitimate change that's happening. I think he looks more ferocious, which I like. I was always told the old one looked like Scratchy from Itchy and Scratchy on The Simpsons. And once somebody said that, I don't remember where I saw that. I read it somewhere. Once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. So every time I saw Boko, I was like, oh man, looks like that Simpsons character. So I'm in on the new guy. I like the ears on him. It's got the fuzzy ears of a bobcat. You know what I mean? Like that extra fuzz that bobcats have. They got the fangs out. I like it. I mean, I'm no mascot expert over here, but I like that he looks a little meaner, not too mean, where he's going to scare some kids. But change. Some of you might be reluctant to change. Life is about change. It's going to happen. You got to adjust to it a little bit, and you'll get used to new Boko, and maybe they'll give him some more makeover, more update to his look, a little extra here and there. But this might not be the finalized piece, but not bad. I like him. I'm kind of with when people are when they say like I like him, may not be fully there. I understand that, but I'm not a mascot expert. It's nice that he's getting an update. Everybody's getting an update. The end zone complex is getting renovated. Just updates all around for everybody. I mean, speaking of that, if you've seen any of the social media posts from Kelly Danfus, from GJ Kinney, introducing all these freshmen this week, it was move-in weekend. Traffic has been wild here in town. It's been at a standstill. It's 8,000 students for this class. It's a record for Texas State, and they were hosting a lot of them at the LBJ Center. In that area between the LBJ Center and Alkek Library. They even had a projection screen up on the side of Alkek, which was pretty wild. I had never seen that before. And then on Wednesday night, it looked like they were at Bobcat Stadium shooting off a bunch of fireworks with all the freshmen. Fireworks going all the way around the stadium. We've seen it before where they score a touchdown, they shoot them above the end zone complex. But these were going all the way around. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a new wrinkle, something they're introducing, but that would be pretty interesting. That's great. That's great to see. It goes to show that this place has the foundation. It has the infrastructure there. It has 40,000 students. Pretty sure that's still top 5 in the state of Texas. There's 13 FBS schools in the state of Texas. Texas State is top 5 as far as attendance. How many people go to school here? And you see that 8,000 new freshmen just this semester alone. I mean, those are all potential Bobcat fans. Wins have to come though, and that's the thing. I've heard people say it's a chicken and the egg thing. What comes first, the support from fans or winning? And it's more simple than that. You got to win, and people will show up. If you have consistent winning, then they consistently show up. You have to, that wins are what going to draw them in. When you don't have the tradition of winning to lean on, you have to win now or get bent. Wow, I didn't even do that on purpose. That was pretty great. But you do have to win now. You don't have those staples. Yeah, you can point to the national championships in the 80s. It's great. I'm never discounting that. It's a different level. On this level, in this decade plus, 11 years now at this level, it hasn't happened. Hasn't happened in a winning capacity at all in 8 years. So this is but it's there. It's in place. It's ready to happen. I even had somebody DM me, another media member, that was like, "Hey man, wow, y'all are growing, huh?" It's like, no. I mean, yeah, it is the biggest class this semester, but it's been this big for a long time. It's been near 40,000, at 40,000, at 39,000, 38,000 consistently for I don't know exactly how long, 10 years at least. This is a big school. It's ready for it. I mean, it needs the wins. Those have to come. It's looking like some will come this year. I mean, they've set it up so it will. See what they're going to do at quarterback. See how these new guys look. The offensive line looks bigger. The defensive line, despite that graphic that came out, defensive line, it still looks pretty big to me. I think that might be a little skewed because of they've switched from a 3-down front to a 4-down front. And in that 4-down front, you don't have the big boy, the big nose tackle in the middle. And so when you not necessarily take out the nose tackle, some of these guys I could see Christian Rory at nose tackle and some of these other guys, but when you take that out, that takes away a lot of the weight there. But anyways, I digress. These guys, they have increased their profile across the board. They are bigger across the board. They are faster. I mean, look at like Malik Hornsby, Drew Donnelly, Cole Wilson. These guys are some real deal speedsters on this team. It's hopefully set up for that. And I saw somebody post on Twitter, well, what is this? Really need to see these fans show up for those home games. And yeah, absolutely. Those first 2 games of the season, though, are on the road. And they're tough ones on the road. You're going at Baylor and at UTSA. They have to get one of those wins. Can't just be competitive. That's not going to be enough for freshmen who are brand new on the scene and they're on undecided about how much they're going to invest in the football team. Am I just going to go to the tailgate, or am I going to tailgate and go to the game because I'm so passionate about what's happening? I think they're not going to need, they won't accept a moral victory there. They're going to need a win. So you got to get a win over Baylor or UTSA. Both of them on the road. Tough opponents. I'll be at both. Zach Webb will be at both. Winnower Get Bent will be at both of those games. I mean, shoot. They're in the state of Texas. We're going to be there. We don't get any of that when Sunbelt play hits. People still, other Sunbelt people hate whenever we talk about the island that is Texas State, all the way out here. We're the wild west of the Sunbelt, the very, very edge. The edge of the Sunbelt out here. It's hard. I mean, any game that we would want to drive to is going to be like 7 hours. I mean, at minimum. So it is an island in that sense. But yeah, some wins there. Get those fans at the games. Let's create some more sickos, huh? Y'all are the true sickos. If you're listening to this, you've been through it. You've seen some stuff in your time here. And so hopefully it's on the cusp of the golden age. We're out of the dark times and into the golden age. We'll see. We'll see. Feels that way, but just I need to see it before I fully believe it, and I'm ready to believe it. I'm very ready. But all right, that'll do it for this episode. That's enough here. I know Zach and I will be back out on Saturday. Get you some more of those good videos on our YouTube channel. If you're not watching on YouTube, check that out on YouTube. The channel's Win Now or Get Bent. Go subscribe there. Thanks to everyone who has been subscribing. We're over 200 there. What is it, like 209? I should have checked before I logged on here, but thank you for that. We can monetize on that end of it once we get to 500 subscribers, and I think it's like 3,000 hours we have to get, 3,000 hours viewed. And so we are getting close to those goals. So thank you for doing that. If you haven't, help us out there. It's free. I know I'm out here. I'm trying to get you to buy hats. I'm trying to get you to pay $5 a month on Patreon. Subscribing on YouTube is free though. I guess you got to make it an account and get on there, but subscribing on there is free, and that helps us greatly because, like I said, we can monetize that. Subscribing for the audio versions as well helps us on Apple and Spotify. I've said it before. That's how I consume the pod. I like audio versions of podcasts. You can kind of listen to it and hit it on the go. I know a lot of you like that for your commutes. You can't really watch a YouTube while you're driving. At least you shouldn't. We advise here at Win Now or Get Bent, you do not watch YouTube while driving. So you should listen to the audio version if that's the case, and you can get on there and check that out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so it automatically downloads, and you can even comment on there. I've seen some comments, appreciate that. The few people on there commenting on there on the Apple and Spotify platforms. Again, patreon.com/WinNowOrGetBent. I've been posting daily articles, polls, lots of good stuff. Trying to hit that at least 5 times a week with a good article. Last week I hit it even more than that, so I'm gonna that's the minimum there with 5 on that. I'm eventually going to combine that Patreon page with WNOGB.com, where you can buy the hat that I'm wearing here right now. I'm gonna combine both of them so it's kind of a merch and Patreon site. Now you'll be able to like scroll the merch without being on the Patreon. If you don't want to be on the Patreon but you want to buy merch, the merch won't be behind a paywall. But eventually combine those all into one, so it's kind of like one plug, and it's easier too. You can get those articles, you can get the merch, boom, all in one. Maybe even access the pod, figure out a way to link the YouTube channel. But hang in there as we're getting in all this. I know it's a lot of plugs and everything, but we're gonna consolidate a lot of this stuff, and there's a lot going on in the background. The biggest thing that we've been doing in the background, at least biggest thing for me, because I'm a big hat guy, are these hats here. So go check those out. We even got the mugs. Bam, WNOGB.com. Help us out. Thanks again to TGC, the GalindoCollective.com, business consulting. Maximize the profitability of your property with my guy, Rick Galindo. Hit them up, the GalindoCollective.com. And thanks to the wizard of Win Now or Get Bent, Zachary Webb. My guy's been working tirelessly, doing lots of great stuff, putting that great content out, getting the extra content out with these videos. So hit him up, that YouTube channel. That's his baby, he said. I said hit him up like he was TGC.com, but no, hit up his YouTube channel, our YouTube channel. It's his baby. He works real hard at curating that and making that look great, and that has sure helped us grow quite a bit. So thank you to Zachary Webb. Thank you to all you sickos out there for listening. This pod's nothing without y'all, so thanks for tuning in. Getting close, on the cusp of this season. No more of this off-season talk, huh? Man, can't believe it. Baylor, right around the corner. All right, sickos. Win now or get bent.